And I'm just going to let the people in. So, welcome. Welcome to another Exploring Consciousness with the Earth Nouveau group. Welcome to our hub of interconnectivity. And before you guys came on, we just had a quick chat, and we're actually saying, what we're doing with this hub here is this is just a chat. This is a conversation all of us are having in the sacred neutral. There's no competition. There's no hierarchy. There's no well, there are teachers because we are all teachers to each other. There's a huge contribution, um, and there's no right or wrong. So any opinion is valued here. Any opinion is honored. We might not agree. You might not agree with what certain people say, and that's absolutely fine. This is an experience of that non-competition, non-hierarchy, teaching that we are all familiar with AB. So use it, abuse it, not don't abuse it, but come on and say what you want to say and let it come from the heart, and it's all good. So today is we're going to talk about the root chakra, and then over the next couple of weeks we're just going to work ourselves up into all the other chakras. And as you guys know, we often talk about the 50 colors of time, and the chakras and the colors are associated with each other. So it's the first color of time. It's that color that is all about safety. It's all about survival. It's all about matter, creating, manifesting, living in this reality. It's all about connecting to our ancestral lineages. It's about connecting to the earth, living in harmony, in coherence with the earth. And that, of course, opens up, working with, it's the realm of infrared, of the ghosts and all of that comes into that too. This is where, the more we are grounded, the more we are in our bodies, the less we are open for rental, for other bodies to come in and take over, or rather energies come in without bodies, using our bodies, and that sort of stuff. Now, it's a topic that everyone has something to say to, and you guys are all so familiar with all of that. So it's really just a brainstorming little exercise. All the different subject matters that come up. We know obviously that the chakra, the root chakra is all the chakras are connected to our organs, and we were just saying earlier on, they're not even in the body because they're obviously in the energetic body, but we are associating all the chakras to the various parts and organs of the body. And we know that we are associating the root chakra to the perineum, to the coccyx, if you wish. Some people say it's between the anus and the genitals. So it's down there, that type of stuff. And that obviously also leads us to the idea of using it for connecting to the earth, for grounding us. So one of the conversation I personally would like to explore a bit more today is the grounding. What does grounding mean to you guys? And then we just bring in all sorts of other ideas. Okay? Does that sound good?
Yeah, great.
Okay, cool. So let's just connect to it. Just very briefly, close your eyes for a moment. Put your feet onto the ground. Don't have your knees crossed over. It's not going to take long. And I just want you, that's what I usually do in a not, sometimes in a yoga shavasana class, because the ground, the roots, the base chakra, the yes, I forgot what's called now. Muladhara chakra, which is called in Sanskrit, is also connected to Hatha yoga and Kundalini yoga. So all the warrior poses where you're really using your limbs and your legs and you're grounded, the mountain pose and all that type of stuff. So as you're closing your eyes for a moment there, just take a deep breath in and take that breath. Take it from the root, take it from that perineum, from that coccyx, and then just draw the breath up all the way through all the chakras, all the way up along the spine into the crown. And then on the exhalation, you just pull it back down again. So as you inhale, you connect to the core, to the molten core of the earth, and you're inhaling that energy, that earthly energy through the root chakra, through all the other chakras, all the way up. And then you exhale it back down again. And do a couple of those. So really inhaling deeply, and then you can even take the cosmic, connect yourself to the cosmic energy through the root chakra and draw that root cosmic energy all the way down through the crown chakra. And just have a couple of those up and down, inhaling deeply, exhaling completely. Good. And then from there, just take your attention now to the root, to that infrared root chakra. And bring up a color of red. Think of a garnet, think of a ruby, think of a flower, anything that connects with that very deep red for you. Bring that color up. And then start imagining you have that chakra. It's a wheel. We talk about it as a wheel. And that wheel has a spin to it, a certain direction and a certain speed.
So come here. Yeah.
Can we turn off? Can we mute, please?
Come.
So as we are now focusing on that root chakra in your tailbone, all the way down, start observing that spin of that chakra. And then without judgment, just observe it. Just have a look at it. What direction does it spin in? There's no right or wrong about that. Just have a sense if it does spin or if it doesn't. And then look at the speed of that spin, of that wheel, of that chakra wheel. And observe it again, just as the neutral sacred observer. And then what I want you to do, as you focus on that, start expanding it out. Make that space bigger. Become more expansive. And as you do that, start perceiving your connection to the earth. And then you can allow that energy, that connection, that strong, stable, safe connection to the earth. You can start bringing that into the root chakra. And as you expand it out, allow it to expand out all the way up along the spine, until everything turns red. All the chakras turn red. All the organs turn red. Entire energy is red, and you're really, really feeling completely grounded. And as you do that, see if you can perceive the smell of the earth. Because the sense for the root chakra is actually smell. See if you can start smelling the earth, the rain, the flower if you had a flower. Just feel how your adrenal function starts to expand and just to calm, to harmonize, to become more coherent. Keep that fiery red. And there's a mantra for that root chakra, and it's a word. It's called LAM, LAM. So we can do it together. We're just going to sound out LAM, L-A-M. Let's sound it out together. Let's take a deep breath in. Exhale completely. And then we're going to do the LAM together. Inhale. LAM. Inhale deeply. And relax. Good. And then open your eyes. Bring your focus back into the room, back onto the Zoom. And then just acknowledge how that little 2-3 minute exercise can help you to start grounding, connecting to the earth. And that sound, that alarm sound, if you ever feel like you're getting ungrounded or something, just start sounding it out. And as you sound it out, the alarm, it's like you're pulling the navel back towards the spine. So you're really working in that area down there. How was that for you guys? Tingling of the tailbone. Fabulicious.
It was interesting. I noticed, Martina, when I started to focus on the chakra, it was going slowly at first, but the minute I paid attention to it, it started to speed up. Yeah.
Did you perceive the spin?
I did, and I could see it spinning faster. The more attention I gave it, the faster it started to spin. So it was obviously vibrating much faster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fabulous. And you know, it just depends how you perceive it and how you interpret it. For some people, if it doesn't spin, that means they feel more coherent, much more balanced, and much more grounded. For some, it wouldn't. The faster it spins, the more you are connected. It just really depends on how you interpret these things for yourself. So I don't even want to give away what anyone else says how it should be, because it's totally irrelevant. Just work with you. The main thing is that you actually can perceive a difference.
Yeah.
So it's always starting from what is and what is changing. And we're not looking for like everything. Oh my God, now I'm feeling, this and that. We're looking, even the most minuscule change is process, is progress.
And the idea of when you pay attention, if you pay attention to your breath, I always find that the minute I start to pay attention to it, it changes a bit until I actually get used to that, or it gets used to me paying attention to it, and it just reaches some sort of an equilibrium again. Yeah. So that was just interesting for me, that when I paid attention, what happened.
It's really that easy. As soon as you say, it's amazing. You come right into the body. Now, the other thing, what we've got, vibrating the whole body, when I said alarm word, we're going to go through all the different words as we go along over the next couple of weeks. And, having made that joke about wearing red, yes, if you feel that when you get up in the morning and you feel like, okay, I'm not feeling grounded enough, just do wear something red. And don't get hung up about it doesn't suit me or this or that, because if you don't like the color red, it's probably an indication that you should wear it. I've had that with the color yellow. For years, I could not wear yellow. Impossible. Until I realized that is obviously the willpower and everything. I thought, okay, I have to do it. And then it's amazing the reaction you get from other people when you step into that color. It's like, whoa, I didn't realize that. And then everything goes, because every color has its purpose and every color has a healing property. So what are the healing properties of red then? Guys, do me a favor. Mute your mics if you got stuff going on in the back. Thanks.
That's an interesting question, Martina. The healing properties of red. I suppose the first thing that comes to mind would be warmth and comfort and strength. I regard red as a strong color. I don't know what other people would think. Would you have any other idea?
Passion, Martina. Red is passion. When we have a red rose, it's for passion.
Passion, yes.
Yes, and this one I'm holding, it's a red carnelian. Can you see it?
Yes.
So this is associated with the root chakra. I looked it up. I did my homework.
Oh, good for you. Good for us. Yes.
So it's with the root chakra, and I have it here. And as Martina was doing the meditation, or that little short meditation, I was holding it. And if you have something like this, you can even put it in your bra, or put it, like you can wear it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thanks for that, because it's actually if you feel it's too much to put, you know, a top on, you feel uncomfortable with it, start with wearing a bra that is red,
Yeah.
some knickers, it doesn't matter, some socks, anything like that, you know, or just use a crystal with a color or anything with the color to start vibrating on to, together with that energy, because it is obviously the grounding energy. Yeah. So what is the healing of red is exactly everything that is related to that chakra. It helps us to manifest our dreams and everything into this reality. How often it's a power color, isn't it? As you said, when you go to a business meeting and you wear red, it's like, whoa, I'm here. Hey, don't F with me, right? That type of stuff, you know. Use the colors, know a little bit about what is what, and this is why we're doing all of that. I'm sure you all know anyway to a certain extent, and use it, you know, to mix it up. And then you can also look at how do I mix up, you know, the manifestation red, and then maybe I want to manifest coherently from the heart center. So go with the heart chakra color, which is green, or sometimes say, you know, pink, and then you can combine it and start combining the colors and your clothes and your food
Yes.
from that perspective, not from what people tell you, those color specialists, and they have their place too. But just play with that a little bit and say, okay, well, would that work as well, you know? And see what it's like. I do remember when I colored my hair strong red, I felt so much more empowered and so much more in my body, you know. So there's a lot of that to be said. um, One of the things with the root chakra is obviously being in the body, staying in the body, and you know how easy it is to get out of our body, being in the present moment and being in the body. So what does that actually mean? What have you guys, what sort of thought process do you have when we say being in the body, being grounded?
Well, for me, being grounded is in my I am presence. So pulling my energy down through my crown chakra, throat chakra, and so on, down into my heart, and then on down.
Living in the very moment, yes, we got that from Lana. Red of the root chakra, perfect health, wellness, vitality. Yes, that's all part of it. And Mary was saying something earlier on in terms of the root chakra, obviously, because we can, of course, in a holistic wholeness approach, we can't really make a partiality. This is the root chakra and this is there. Everything works together. So Mary was saying interesting in terms of how the root chakra actually starts to connect to the other chakras already. Do you wanna say something along those lines?
Yes, I was learning one time about the different color systems of the chakras and how they can intermingle and change. You know, red, orange, yellow has their place and they belong to each different chakra. But of course, that's not always the case. The red isn't always where it should be, and the yellow isn't always where it should be. And that's okay. It's not right or wrong, but the colors do mix. They do go up and down and they mix in and out with the other chakras. But in relation to the red and the root chakra, the red can sometimes work its way up into the other systems, like into the sacral system, which is in the digestive area, into the stomach, which is the solar plexus. And sometimes that can happen in order to, the red is a very strong color. And of course, it would be connected with fire. And it can work its way in like that unconsciously without the person knowing it, to burn off kind of toxicity or kind of negativity or any kind of problems that's in that area. The body has its own system of keeping the balance. So that kind of equilibrium takes place without any direction at all from the mind, or the mind wouldn't even know what was going on. So I was fascinated to learn that. And sometimes when that is happening and there's a lot of red maybe in the sacral or in the solar plexus, it can be experienced physically as the person having quite a lot of acid maybe, because it's doing a lot of work when it's there. So it can be experienced like that, you know. So it's like cooling the system down by taking alkaline does help to cool the system down.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's fantastic. But actually, I've written down a couple of things, so I didn't have to remember everything. So when we talk about the root chakra, and obviously focusing on that area of the body, this harmonious function, if the root chakra doesn't function harmoniously and not coherent, we then sometimes, as you say, we have issues. We can have issues with acidity, which goes all the way up into the stomach. But also there's a disability to stand up for themselves, to be
Yes.
obviously ungrounded, which then, you know, reflects back into the physical body through back pain. So you know, the very common back pain is where we're not backing ourselves up, where we're actually not grounding, where we're not standing our truth, basically, you know. So back pain is often related to um, a disharmonious function in the root chakra. It's all about material possessions because it is obviously related to matter and this reality. So thoughts and actions evolve around the material possessions and the security, you know. So often, you know, we all have issues with security and safety and, you know, having to make money and this and that often, you know, throws that root chakra out of whack, basically. And then can come out. And then often the way we deal with this is an overindulgence, either with food, alcohol, you know, sugar cravings, comfort eating, overindulgence in sex, if you wish, the whole thing, you know. And of course, there's this irritation energy, that anger energy that is always, you know, related to the red ball. Well, isn't there a saying, something, don't, what's
Seeing red. Seeing red.
red, yeah,
Yes,
something
seeing
like
red.
that.
Red.
Yeah.
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 So when you lost your footing, so as I said early on with yoga, the warrior pose is where you're really, really working with your legs and you're standing your ground and you're melting the feet into. So if you working on, this is why yoga is quite interesting in terms of working with all the different chakras, and you can actually tailor some of those sessions purely for the root chakra if you wish, you know. I have to stop saying if you wish. I say this all the
It's
time.
okay. It's okay.
Sorry. No, it's not okay. I don't like it. Sorry.
Well, it's okay with me.
It's okay. Okay. So it's all about creating in the material world, and then, you know, stuff that's going on in the legs, moving forward fast enough or not, impatience, irritations, frustrations, all of that, or like saying the wrong expression too often. That type of stuff.
Yes.
So if any of that comes up, wear red, use something red, think red, do that little meditation, do your alarm. So much stuff we can do outside of just looking into clearing everything. And there's another thing. I think at our level of exploration now, we have to also start acknowledging that the wholeness of it all, you know. What if there is not even a distinction between health and sickness? And what if we just go into the sacred neutral on that, take out all the significances, play with the colors, you know, use that dissociative ideas of what the root chakra, any of the other chakras actually brings, and just really play with it, but never lose the idea of the bigger picture and all of that. So that's the disharmonious. Now, what have we got on the harmonious functioning? So what if the root chakra works well? How do we feel? What does our world look like? Our reality look like if the root chakra works well?
Yes, that's what I'm interested. Well, that's what I'm always interested in. You know, Martin, I like to manifest, and when obviously the root chakra is to build your foundations. Yeah. So up until now, we or whoever we built a foundation. Let's say whoever
Mm-hmm.
built a foundation, and we say, okay, we don't like that. But a lot of people are in fear of destroying that, which is would make sense for me because you can build again, you can reset that foundation, like you say. So for me, it's manifesting and stepping into that potency, even going higher and higher and higher. Because if you think about it, we are all immortal, and we can step into that transmutation, transfiguration of that level, which I did on last Sunday, and things started to just.
So give me the question again. What was the question?
The question is, I don't have a question, but what I'm saying is some people might be afraid to destroy the foundation, what they built, and start again. Okay,
Right. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah. Well, that's that continuous out creation when we talk about experience, experiment, integration, transcendence. It's like uh, birth, the sustenance of life, and then death, which repeats itself throughout our lives with every single thing that we do.
Yes, which is exactly what's going
Yeah.
on now in the world.
But that goes back to the safety
Yeah,
and to the so okay, so what I've got here is like you have a strong connection to the earth because I see a lot of these pictures and obviously with your food and everything. So you're doing a lot of that already. You're having this earth connection and then really acknowledging that the earth is a safe place and taking it to the next level, coming out of independence a little bit and starting to acknowledge the wholeness and allowing, it's almost like this trust and faith, if you wish, if you wish, to surrender into that. Yeah. And just allow the earth to have your back, allow the universe to have your back, and also start acknowledging that all of us, every single individual, is part of that too. And we are intrinsically wired to have the relationship, not necessarily just with the earth, but also between amongst us in this non competition, non hierarchy. And this is what this hub of interconnectivity, this hub of Earth Nouveau is starting to really turn into, because that was our intention, to create that safe place where we're starting to meet people that are like-minded and don't have to have the same opinions. It doesn't matter, but one thing leads to the next. Laura says something, you says something, and then you just pick up on that word, and that at the end of the day we have not created a solution for anything, but we have, all of us, learned something. We've made an association to something just because one person in this group said one word and they just needed to hear that one word. Now,
We've created an experience.
we've created that experience, and I don't know if that answers your question, but that's all part. It starts with
I
that.
didn't have a question. I just wanted to say that
Right.
when you rebuild, because obviously it's not just us who're gonna see this, but I'm talking to the future, people as
Yeah.
well. That
Well,
who
we
are
have
maybe
144 subscribers now.
Oh, very
13.
good.
No, what I'm saying is that because it's the root chakra, and we are at that day and age and era and year that people are afraid of restarting the foundation.
Yes.
Probably the people who
Yes.
will be hearing this or who will be listening in this in the future, in
Yes.
maybe next week or
Yeah.
next day or whatever.
Absolutely.
What I'm saying is we are already aware of it, but some people might not be aware of it, not be
Yes.
awakened to it, that it's possible to do that, it's possible to change, it's possible to become and elevate yourself further and further and
Yes.
further, whichever tool that they
Yes.
use. This is what I'm
Absolutely.
saying, yeah.
Absolutely. And staying connected to the physical world. As much as we do our spiritual work, acknowledging that as we're staying connected to the earth, as we're staying connected to our bodies, fully empowered in our physicality, this is when we actually really start connecting to our divine spirit.
Yeah.
And that's often misunderstood because lots of, I don't think it's in our group, but just really bringing that back home, that when we start losing ourselves in thought processes and thinking, excessive thinking and all of that is part of the root chakra not being working coherently, because we are actually not in our bodies. Remember that. Admit Petruska is coming on. So excessive thinking kicks you out of the body, just like empathy does, and that sort of stuff. Okay. Also the tribal, obviously talking about the ancestral, because earthing, everything down there, it's got to do with tribal bonding. It's, finding your tribe. And this is, again, part of what we're doing with these shows, finding our tribe. Not because we need to feel comfortable or something, but we have similar signature frequencies, and we can actually grow through the interaction and through the conversation that we're having. And I am talking too much, so you need to talk too. What do you know? What do you want to bring up about the root chakra? Is there anything? Yes, Emmy.
Yeah. Okay, so this may seem pretty basic, but does the root chakra come through in the physical symptoms?
Yes.
So if it's unbalanced, it'll come through. Okay, because that makes sense of why I have what I have.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying earlier on with the lower back issues and with stuff going on, everything. Did you want to share?
And does that, well, it's just like UTI or like, it's like, well, okay, do I need to look at that as, something beyond that? Like, what is it? Why do I have it? I guess the energy of it.
So why is never the best question, because it always puts that sort of blame. It gets why.
Okay.
There's something wrong with me. So let's say there's nothing wrong with you. It's like your body's obviously communicating something to you. So if you look at the root chakra being, the chakra that's all about safety, feeling safe, feeling grounded, feeling connected, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at the UTI and everything, that already gives you some sort of idea what could be going on there.
Right. Or I think of it too as like a cleaning out of something.
Yeah.
Can I just
could well be the case.
Yeah.
Just Amy, I get UTIs, and part of what I've discovered is in Chinese medicine, the bladder is anger.
Yeah.
So being pissed off, basically.
Being pissed off. That's the word for it. Pissed off.
Yeah.
And,
which is red.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
red. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that, yeah.
And stress.
Sometimes it can be. Sometimes, urine can have blood in it, which is the real visual of it, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense. The anger does make sense because it's
frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Frustration, pissed off. My experience has been always related to relationships, intimate relationships, that always caused that for me. Yeah. Just basically having too many points of views, or being with the wrong guy, or whoever that type of stuff. But it's normally you're not with it's like looking at that, and it's all caused by just too many thought processes that create conclusions, and then it locks you in, and the body's just saying, hey,
Yeah.
what's
That
going
makes
on there.
sense.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said, locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That locked
definitely.
in. Yeah. Because
And
it's
then
almost
it's like,
there is no
I'm locked
flow.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the flow is painful, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also what I've realized with, I had quite a few clients along those lines, was the toilet can be a hiding place. Because you're constantly on the toilet, right?
Mm-hmm.
With that. And I had, there was like, oh, what are you hiding from? And it's a lack of manifestation, a lack of just being in the flow, that type of stuff. And this is obviously what the root chakra is connected with, manifesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, excuse me.
So the primary fears that I've written down here is physical survival, abandonment issues, and loss of physical order. So anything that we consider order,
Yeah, it's very much connected, isn't it, Martina, with how we manifest in the world. How we create the environment, how we create the career, how we follow our creativity, and how we can develop that and display that or use that in the world. I think the root is very connected to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it gives us that drive to do that.
How we relate to our surroundings, to our environment. And if we allow our environment to unroot us.
Yes.
That's where synchronicities come in, isn't it? With the root, when you're grounded like that and you're in the flow, then you can relate and interact with the earth energies, and that's what creates the synchronicities.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and again, we can't really, we're just really playing with that one part, knowing that everything is connected in a way. So Alan is saying it's a red root race. Red as an emotion versus red as color frequency of body perception and awareness. Red root race. It's all ancestral, isn't it? Red root race. Laura, you got something there. I'm not familiar with that particular expression, but everything ancestral, I would say, is very much related to the root, because they were so much more connected to the harmony, to nature and everything. So everything before that fragmentation started, before industrial revolution and all social media and everything. So I think the root chakra has taken on a much bigger meaning nowadays. Even if if you're committed to your spiritual journey and you are not looking at the root and the manifestation in this reality, then you're missing out on something. Because all this unrooting that we're going through all the transformation, the changes, the chaos, the visible chaos, that's happening at the moment, is unrooting us continuously. If we allow it, if we're buying into it, if we entangle with it, that type of stuff.
Also, Martina, you know what came up? Remember when you have a menstrual cycle? It's red, right?
Yes.
And people always, obviously, women have a lot of experience with that, as in, they experience anger or headaches or cramps or all that kind of stuff. And in Ho'oponopono, we have said because they have this anger against the man. You know what I mean? But I actually had really groundbreaking, if you will, experience about it when I was aware of the process. I don't really know how to express this in words, but it's like I was the process, the energy as I was going through it. So I never had that before ever. So my body, it's really aligned. It's in its place, if you will. So it was a totally different experience. Totally different experience.
Yeah.
Not like before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's red as well, if you will. So
If you will, if you wish, yes.
if you will, it's
Absolutely.
better. I didn't say if you wish. It's cleansing, right?
Yeah.
You letting out
Oh
every.
yeah. Well, look, this is a whole different conversation. I mean, this is like a huge conversation. That type of stuff, the
Yeah.
creativity of all of that, the connection, and and just one thing to say, probably, with all the pain that is going on along those lines, it just shows the disconnection from the natural way of living and natural way of being. I've also got energy connection in the physical body. So physical body support, base of the spine, rectum, bones, feet, legs, immune system. Funny enough, teeth. The teeth have are in there too. The nails, yeah, the colon, part of the colon, the prostate, all those goodies. Physical dysfunctions, chronic lower back pain, sciatica, varicose veins, rectal tumors, cancer, depression, immune-related disorders, hemorrhoids, constipation, obesity, addictions. Yeah, we touched all of that before. Cool. Now, I've done a little exploration. Are there any questions? Is there anything you guys want to bring up? Sacred sexuality, root chakra, absolutely connected to the sacred sexuality, because it's without a body. Depending on how you define sexuality there, but if we talk even just copulation without a body, without a grounded body, it's going to be difficult to not connect that. Absolutely. And the more grounded you are in your physicality, and the more you are in harmony with that, the more you will have a possibility to have sacred sexual experiences. Absolutely. Eat beetroot. Yes, that too. Anything with the blood, of course. There you got the color again. So that's it.
I had a question.
Yes. Dawn.
When you were talking, and you've mentioned this before, about how empathy kicks you out of your body, and you had said that earlier, and I wanted you to explain that, like how, because like when this happens, that empathetic response, and I think you mentioned it also to do with this chakra.
Well,
so yeah, yeah.
Pretty much in every second show, Andrew talks about empathy not having a timestamp.
Yeah, and what's that mean exactly?
Yeah. Well, basically, the way I understand that is that empathy is, if you look at the bigger picture, empathy is almost a lie that we are buying in this reality, that we have to be empathetic. It's a kind thing to be empathetic, which is actually totally disempowering towards everyone around you who you are empathetic with, because you're actually saying you are not potent and empowered, and the choices that you're making are wrong, so I have to feel sorry for you.
Right. Like say I'm watching a wildlife video, and the lion's going after the lamb,
Yeah, exactly.
He gets the lamb and he kills him.
Yeah. So you
And then
actually
I'm all upset, but the lamb came here for that.
Well, yes, and and it's even more difficult with because we understand the food chain as such, but it's more difficult when we see people obviously suffering, because we forget that at the end of the day they have chosen that too on some level. It's karmic resolution, blah blah blah, the whole thing. So instead of just honoring their choices, staying in our bodies, being completely grounded, we are actually starting to go into this lie, into this perceived concept that we have to feel bad for them, which takes us out of the body, because we're buying into that misconception.
Okay, I see that.
That's how I interpret that. Yeah.
And by a timestamp.
Yeah, not
explain that to me.
Yeah, so we haven't done this just once. Yeah, pretty much in every bloody lifetime we have done that. So every time we have taken ourselves out of those bodies on other timelines, dimensions, and all of that, these are the echoes of time, where that are still echoing all the way. Yeah. So think of it as a version of yourself. Yeah. In all this different part of yourself that's still feeling sorry for yourself, and and it's like so you're never coming into this time space reality
that's
here.
so cool. It's like shards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're floating all over the place, and you're actually feeling sorry for yourself in this and there and there and there.
Okay, I see that.
So it's got no timestamp, because in all these different time equations, you're still hanging around there. So you haven't got because what does being grounded mean? It means you're having a timestamp. You're here.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Present.
You're here.
Yeah.
Because you understand that you have to be grounded. You have to be working with your root chakra.
Oh, that's so cool.
In harmony. And then you connect to your soul, to your spirit, whatever you want to call it.
I totally see that. Yeah, that's great. And that empathy thing, when it starts, it kind of comes in. It feels like a wave washing up on shore. And it comes up over me like that thing. Yeah. And so in that moment, I can just notice, am I grounded? And I could have a crystal, or I could have, something red to actually bring me here.
Yeah.
Present, right? Grounded.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if anyone has anything.
Yeah, can we use precogs when we're the use of precogs work best when we're properly grounded? So empathy is not a precog going out to help somebody. Empathy is us. Okay. Our core essence. We're trying to use our core essence.
Yeah, it's totally draining. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Because I call this a lie. Every lie in this reality is draining. It's harvesting. It's a huge energy harvester. I mean, it's like, because it's just that energy of empathy. You can't even, like anger, you could still say anger can create at times, as long as you're not hanging on to it. You can have that fiery outburst, which can create a huge change for yourself and for others in that moment, as soon as you get back out of it afterwards. Empathy does not create any of that. And somebody was saying, Lana was saying, compassion is a different energy to empathy. Okay, but we haven't really explored compassion much yet. But if you just look at the energy of the word compassion and the word empathy, is a very different energy. So at some stage, we're going to look at compassion. I've started looking at compassion. It's different. It's not it's not entangling. It's actually completely staying in your passion, if you wish. Staying in your passion, staying completely grounded within yourself, and then say, look, my coffee cup is so full. I've got the foam flowing over. What can I contribute to you through compassion? Not, oh, you're so poor. So no, it's not that. But is there anything that we can contribute to each other?
So and how does... Sorry, I have to get it in while I can between my...
Yeah, go, yeah.
How does that differ between holding space for somebody, being present and holding space?
I think that's
pretty much the same thing, isn't it, as what you're saying?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. For me, yes. But then again, it's just an interesting point of view that I'm having. So look into compassion, because I think that is the next way of looking into it. Because also that goes with no longer separation, but actually starting from the place of oneness and of wholeness. So how can we be compassionate? Because it includes not overstepping our boundaries, staying within our sovereignty, not overstepping, using your awareness, basically, when and what is required, staying in the question, instead of losing yourself in the answers, in the rightness and the wrongness, and all that sort of bullshit, you know. But I mean, it's a journey. It's a journey that we're on. So let me see. Compassion is caring, but empathy is like giving away without being asked for your energy. Thanks for that, Lana. So empathy engages the emotion, intuition bypasses the emotion, knowingness, unentangled observer when holding space. Yeah, that sort of stuff. Alan, yeah, thanks. So, but it's a very interesting one. We can look at some stage. Compassion. Oh, hi, Chris.
Hi.
Hello, a late comer.
Hi, everybody. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, okay, so let's ask the question, what does grounding mean to you? Let's come up with a couple of ideas. What does grounding mean to you?
Hey, Martina.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So I think for me, grounding has been a lifelong getting to know that energy, because I didn't want to inhabit Earth or my body. And so I think so to me, when I hear grounding, it means embodied. So it took me a long time to realize I had to work with that energy of being present, like in the now, but being safe and having my body be an okay place to be. So I think just for anybody else out there, I mean, I've worked with energy for a long time, and I would hear grounding, okay, ground. And so it was a mental concept to me. It was this construct I understood logically, but I couldn't do it for the life of me until I came back to me, until I was able to work with my body enough to inhabit it, to be present with it in the now.
Yeah, fantastic. And you know what comes up for me there, Sarah, is like the concept of secrets. It's quite an interesting concept. When we have secrets, when we're not wanting to be authentic, when we're not wanting to be present with our bodies, then we start, we don't want other people to know certain things. So as we're having these secrets with other people, we are also not being open with ourselves.
Yeah.
And those secrets become those lies eventually, because if you have a secret, you eventually have to lie about it, right? To others, because you just can't be open, you can't be vulnerable, you can't be authentic, you can't be speaking your true voice because you're hiding something. So it's quite interesting to look at that. And if you're having any secrets, if you're, I better don't tell people that, then you know that it's impossible for you to be grounded, because you continuously have to kick yourself out of the body. Yep. So that's an interesting one to look at. If you have any secrets anywhere, and this is the journey from what I'm hearing, is what you're saying is that, surrender. Vulnerability is one of the biggest strengths out there. Look, this is me. This is what I look like. I say this, I do this, being really honest. Honesty is a different energy. I think it's vulnerable is a better energy. There are no secrets. There are no fucking lies. There's no nothing. It's just me having a certain point of view. And you are welcome to join in. If it helps you, it's good. If not, just leave it. That type of stuff, So thanks for sharing with that. Yeah. And that's also, for me, that sounds like there's a connection. For me, grounding is a connection to potency, stepping into your potency, isn't it? So I make a lot of, I make a connection to that. And this is where the root chakra again comes in for me, because if I'm honest, if I'm vulnerable, if I'm grounded, if I'm potent, then I can create anything.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I was realizing I didn't want to be here because I wasn't able to create a life that I wanted to create. So once I was able to embody and find my potency and then manifest and actualize a reality that I wanted, and then I was like, oh, it's not so bad being in this body in this place.
Yeah. And then would you also say that once you started embodying your body, and having that harmonic, coherent state with it, relationship with it, then you start to see that the divine aspect started to open up, isn't it?
Yes, that was my fear. If I really got rooted and grounded, I would
Mm.
lose the connection. And
Yeah.
I had such a high connection, but really it's expanded that
Yes.
connection up the further I can root down. Yeah.
Absolutely. So thanks for saying that, because that has been such a misperception, I think, for many. It's like, oh, I can't commit because I need to have space. I need to be able to move. No, it's the opposite what
Yeah.
you're doing. The more you're grounding, the more you open yourself up to possibilities. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's all about the root chakra, really. And of course, all the others. But this is all about matter, this reality. Yeah. So thanks for that. Yeah. So what else? What else have we got? Being present in the moment, grounding. What else? What does grounding mean to you?
Well, following on from what you've been saying with Sarah, when I work with the earth, which is to me part of the grounding, I'm reclaiming some of what I've lost. So if you're living an inauthentic life, part of your soul is not going to like that and is going to be not fully grounded because it doesn't harmonize. So you can't lead an inauthentic life and be fully grounded. That's following on from what you were both saying. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
okay.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, the
So
difficulty.
some of your authenticity then is to reclaim some of the ground that you might have lost, given away to people in awareness or unawareness. Yeah, that's just another angle on it.
Yeah, and also we're obviously dealing with a situation that we're living in a very ungrounded, incoherent societal structure. So what we're really doing is we have to recognize that if we want to change that structure, we have to start getting into coherence with ourselves first. And it's not an easy task at this stage when you're living in this domination and control and all this bloody, complete fragmentation that we are living in, and having lost our way to nature. And this is why we're obviously doing all that ritual stuff, that sacred work, the ceremonies and everything, to finding ourselves back. And the thing is, obviously, it was much easier in the medieval times, to be honest. That's when we had still the connection to nature, to the mysticism, to the alchemy and everything, because there were like smaller groups. They were talking together, they were finding solutions together. They weren't exposed to this huge, like 7.5 billion people plus, that we're having now. So we're having to completely change our view of the world to find that coherence. And what better place to start than with ourselves, and then let it ripple out. So we also, does that bring anything up for anyone?
I agree with starting with oneself. I think at the end of the day, the energy of ourselves is far more important than we actually make out. Because if we live in a place where we are grounded, or at least peace within the area we're in other words, this lifetime, then we expand that for all around us. And then there's a knock-on effect just by our own frequency being different through being grounded to the earth, to whatever realm we're in. At the moment, I'm in this one. I find that people are finding the world as we have it at the moment very difficult, purely because I think that they're not at peace in themselves. This is just bringing up so much disharmony within themselves that actually they don't know where to go. They don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to react to it. And I've found through my own, it's like having a knowing, but knowing that nature will care for itself. And then I join nature rather than forcing it the other way around, where I take over nature. It's still is difficult for me to keep grounded because this world is so insane, if you like, that actually I would like to live in spirit. As the lovely lady was saying, she didn't want to be here earlier on. I totally understand that one. Totally understand it, because it is very difficult to say grounded in this world and try to be peaceful in this world within that vein. But I have learned that if I'm happy and I find that my frequency is at a balance, then none of this affects me. Or let's say the effect is limited in some way. So I think being grounded is really, really important for everyone in whatever way you do it. It could be walking, it could be just being in a place of peace.
Yeah. So thanks for that, Chris.
And I just want to add on, Martina, just before you move from that, just to follow on from what Sarah and Laura was saying earlier, and Chris, that one of the things I get from being grounded is immense joy. And I just think it's worth noting that, because I think that joy is something that is hard to grasp in life at the moment. And I think that the most simplest grounding things, actually, we don't have to do anything elaborate at all. As I've shared with you before, one exercise that I do that's really grounding for me is cleaning my house. So I just go around with my cloth and whatever else. And while I'm cleaning, I really get very grounded and get very into that place. And then I have the joy of looking at that afterwards. Now, that wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea, and I'm not suggesting that it should be, but it's just, I just wanted to say that about the connection between joy and being grounded and being present, because I would have experienced a good bit of difficulty being in and out of my body. And I've enjoyed being out, by the way. But it was always good to come back in and be grounded. It just, you know, you feel at home in yourself. And it also gives you the impetus to do more of it, to have that feeling more. So it has that kind of an invitation in it, which is the invitation to be here, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's the invitation to be here and to actually make the most of it. So
exactly.
So Lana, you know, you just answered a little bit of Lana's question here. So when you're at peace with yourself, would you say that would be considered grounding? Yes, and I would extend that. Yeah, just what Mary just said now. Actually, joy, being. I'll actually take this even further and say, what gives you pleasure? Look at the energy of pleasure. You don't just want to be in joy, you want to be peaceful. You want to be fucking ecstatically pleasurable, you know, pleasured here. Yeah, you know, working with the sexual energy. You want to be a creator, an out creator. You want to have money. Yeah, why not?
Yes.
Because if you are grounded and you're full in your joy and everything, money is just a byproduct of your passion, if you wish. Stop it.
Yes.
5 times. Anyway, so there is much more to that. It's making the most of this reality, making the most of having a body.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So there was something about the vagus nerve, Alan. I think you asked. Absolutely. For me, again, the vagus nerve, the superhighway. Yeah, if the parasympathetic, the sympathetic nervous system, they're all cleared, you're nicely grounded, you are driving that, whatever that is, Porsche, on this superhighway of the vagus nerve. This is where possibilities just open up for you, and all you need to do is choose. Infinite possibilities. And there is a continuous out creation. There's a continuous movement of all of that. Like Andrea said early on, you know, don't shy away from out creating, starting something new. I mean, nowadays, think of how our lives have changed to, let's say, our parents. We're living not just one life in this lifetime. We've lived, I don't know how many bloody jobs I've had, and when I changed and I created this and this and this, you know, and how much more can we do of that? If that is pleasurable to us, yeah? Nobody's saying that you have to be that, but innately, we are all compulsive creators. It's just in our DNA.
It is to get excited about
Not
living.
easy to help on.
And Martin,
Just-
I remember when you elevate yourself, when you create yourself, that joy, the euphoria, the passion, the red, like wow, and then you do it again and again and again and
Yes.
again. And you go
Yeah.
up to the stars and say, Martin, I'm here, come up.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Andrew often talks about curiosity learning, which I still haven't really fully understood, to be honest, because I know what he means. He talks about, you know, don't overextend yourself and start falsely forcing signature frequencies and such. I understand that. And there's more to it. I'm a big fan, though, when you start feeling that the motivation goes and you start feeling, you know, you're getting bored and impatient or something. And that's what I learned in Access. It's like, I'm a procrastinator, right? Let's say you're a procrastinator. Are you really? Or are you just really not challenged enough with two things in your life? And then really, in order to get back into the body, because sometimes we leave the bodies because we get bored. Yeah, literally. And then most of us, or lots of us, could really benefit from the question, what can I add to my life? And the more you add to your life, the more you get back into the body, the more you start resonating with the life force and everything, you know, because lots of us are quite compulsive creators. And I also think the more you start clearing all the crap, the programming, the conditioning, the more energy is being released, the less is being harvested through the domination and control that is actually becoming available for you to start creating even more.
And that's so exciting. Even just to sit with that thought, Martina, it's really so exciting because we can do it all.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's all about adding meaning to our lives, adding values.
By bringing ourselves fully into it.
And why are we doing all of that? Because again, through the society that we're living in at the moment, meaning has been lost.
Mm.
That's why these questions, what does it mean? Always come back. I mean, such a cool question. What does grounding mean? What else does it mean? I've got lots of points here we could talk about. Anything that comes up for you. What does grounding mean to you? You can just keep asking the same question, and awarenesses will kick in continuously. Okay, we've done the being vulnerable. I've done that. Talking about all this creation business here. What does grounding mean to you is actually allowing yourself to explore certain avenues and allowing yourself to make mistakes, to even fail. That's also a part of grounding, because for me, grounding is so much more than just connecting to the earth. For me, grounding is all about creating to a certain extent, creating a container, or not creating a container. We've got the container. The body is our vehicle anyway. Driving the vehicle, working with it to manifest, to actualize our dreams. Anyone who wants to say something?
I'm looking at the last statement. What are you making, Alan? Some good old-fashioned curry. And it has just made me wonder, is there any particular food, I wonder, that's good for the root chakra?
Very good question. Is there? For me, if you ask soup, it's always soup.
Soul food, says Alan.
Soul
yes.
food, yeah.
Yeah.
Spicy. I made yesterday, my massage guy, he was here, a carrot veloute, but I added cayenne pepper and turmeric.
Mm.
He said it's the best soup I ever made. He always says when I make something new, he always says it's the best I ever made. But yeah, you know, it's I felt the, you know, the autumn colors. When you go out walking, you see red leaves, right?
Yes.
So it's an association that it's harvest, it's the autumn, it's getting ready, it's you know, it's ready to go again. For me anyway, maybe somebody else is different, but also you can have a red sauerkraut, which I'm gonna make this weekend. You can have beetroot, of course. You can have curry, like Alan says, spicy ancestral soup. Remember Andrew's meditation, blood moon meditation?
No.
Very, very important when I cook. I always put that in some dishes. So there's loads of stuff, you know.
There's lots of stuff, yeah. Fantastic.
And autumn is so grounding anyway, isn't it, with the colours? I always think autumn because it's to do with harvesting and digging up the vegetables from the earth, you know, and cleaning them off and storing them or whatever we do with them. And just the colours, you know, the crimson reds and the deep orange and the yellow ochres, you know, all those different mixes of colours are really grounding, I think, just to walk through it and hear the crunching of the leaves under your feet.
Yeah.
Yes, and remember the Martina, what you had last week, the kelp. Martina said, "Oh, what's that crunchiness?"
Yes.
Yeah, lovely.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Lovely.
Probably you have it more in Ireland, isn't it? Kelp?
Yes.
Irish
Yes.
kelp.
Yeah, we do have kelp here. Yes.
It's a shortage here. I
And you
couldn't
know,
get it
kelp
anywhere.
is a natural remedy for low blood pressure. So that's interesting because
Connection to the blood.
yeah, the connection to the blood.
As if by magic.
Well done. Well done. And also, I mean, you guys talking about autumn. Isn't it all about harvesting?
Yes.
Harvesting. And again, that's all about getting back to the root chakra. It's all about materializing into this reality, right?
Mm.
And if
Cool.
anybody wants, if anybody, no, listen, I'm going to say it this way. If anyone is willing to receive abundance, please let me know via Martina or directly, because I have a laser. You see it? You see it?
Yes.
Yeah. And there are different codes, and I have a code for abundance, which is what Martin is talking about. Remember the root chakra.
Yes.
And so when I run this abundance cycle, whatever you wish to call it, there are frequencies and there are numbers. Even if you don't have a laser, you can create with these numbers. It's at your will. Okay? But only ask me if you're willing to receive it. If you're not willing to receive it, it's not going to work for you. If you're willing to receive these numbers and create it with your own artistic way, I'm more than happy to send it. Just let me know.
Okay, cool. So
I'm just putting it out there. If someone for these people who are on this call now, okay, because you know, because not everybody is willing to receive abundance. Not everybody is willing to receive, which is okay.
Well, after our root chakra chat today, everybody will be willing to receive. Just clear the root chakra, wear some red. We're ready. So no, thanks for that. And I think most of you guys have Andrea on Facebook anyway, so they can get in touch with you on Facebook as well, isn't it? Or if you want to pop something into the chat where they can get a hold of you. Have we exhausted that grounding avenue, or do we want to talk more about that, or do we want to go back and speak more on the root chakra in a different way? We've got Chris. Chris, you've got quite a background with all the chakras as well. I'm hearing via Laura. So do you wanna just share something? What?
So someone's been saying stuff, have they?
Yes.
Yeah, I do something called pranic healing. And with pranic healing, we deal with all the chakra systems. And most of the disease protocols that I deal with are based around including the base chakra and the lower chakras. And of course, we not only do I, in the process of treating somebody, have to use a protocol to clean it, but I also have to energize it as well, using a light method that we're taught within pranic healing. Because invariably a lot of conditions, particularly in the lower part of the body, which I'm afraid is probably most of us have got some sort of issue in that area, as in creation. So often I have to re-energize the lower energy system. But we deal with it slightly differently, but it still is to do with where people's, it can also affect the mind, the root chakra. It's not just that lower region, the physical region of the human condition. It also can affect also the way the heart works and the way the mind works, plus all the other organs as well. There's such an interconnectedness of the whole of the chakra system. To sort of look at it from one chakra is quite difficult, really, because the interconnectedness that we all have within our body systems. Of course, this all came via the Chinese and using energy lines in the body system as much as the energy lines in the world. And I don't know where's the energy system for the root chakra in the world? I can't remember now. I used to know it, but there was a map, wasn't there? I can't.
Is it New Zealand, that type of area, Australia, New Zealand there?
Oh, it could be.
Obviously ancestral, very much like connected to the earth and everything. I think it's around.
Or was it Ayers Rock? I can't remember now. I know that it's one of, but all this does is really prove that we're so connected to the earth in such a profound way that if we affect one area of the energy system, then of course it's going to affect everybody, not just individuals as such. But I personally work with the pranic healing, and we have to cleanse the lower chakras often when we're trying to deal with not only the lower body systems, but actually all body systems. Because if you don't, and you don't energize it correctly, then actually whatever you do in the higher systems of the body, the heart, the lungs, even the mind, the eyes, whatever, they still won't be changed, because the creation part, which is the red chakra or the lower chakra, is really very important as to affecting all of them. So yes, it's really curious how it all is interconnected in such a big way.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. We were saying that in the beginning, and also, if you look at the vagus nerve, that explains also the vagus nerve, because the vagus nerve starts in the back here and then goes all the way down, along the spine, covering all the different chakras there. So the connection is obviously undisputable, if that's a word.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of fun to really look at the creation bit and whatever else comes up, for the very specific thing. So I like that pranic healing. So give us something, a pranic healing. Give us an experience there. Maybe.
I was very lucky when because I spontaneously saw, smelt, heard, spirit, all the rest of it. It's just suddenly happened for me. So what happened was, when I came to do pranic healing, I was able to actually feel the chakras. I feel it in the palm of my hand. I can feel them moving. And chakras, I learned, actually spin both ways. It's not just one way.
Okay.
So when I was learning about the chakra systems through pranic healing, I could actually feel, going up the body, how they were working, and to the point where I could actually feel whether they were working effectively or they weren't working effectively. Now, my own teacher at the time said, I can't do that. And I said, oh, okay. But I was able to do it. And I can actually work out how someone's chakra, using my hand, is working at that moment in time. and how to
that's,
treat
that's
how to
lovely.
treat
So,
it. It's quite interesting. It's taught
yeah.
me loads about the chakras, loads about energy systems. Pranic healing has.
So it's like you have an inbuilt pendulum there, because that's another tool you can use.
Yeah,
If you want to
absolutely. It's
balance your chakras
but I
with
I get a
pendulum.
physical feeling in my hand. I actually get a physical feeling in my hand.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Which is quite interesting because I never thought that would happen. I didn't think I would feel it in that way.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, that's very cool.
Yeah, it's but you can feel the. We're talking about the root chakra, but I mean that one particularly, it can be very strong. But you can actually tell when somebody's chakra is not working effectively by the actual height of the actual chakra vortex.
Okay, tell us about that.
Okay, with with pranic healing, the chakras are a vortex, like a tornado, or you know when the water goes down the plug hole.
Yeah.
It's like that. So you've got the face of it. You've then got the vortex going down, spinning down. Well, that goes actually to the body, the lower part of the spine, and that the distance of that, the actual height of that, can denote whether somebody's chakra is actually strong enough or not, or it needs assistance. Now, before we do any protocols that I'm given because of someone's condition, I have to scan them, and to do that, I use my hand. Other people have different ways of doing it. Some people use their own bodies as the scanning device, but I actually use my hand, and I can actually feel how deep the chakra should be. Now, I know roughly where a chakra should be at its peak or at its perfect position, and that usually is at the edge of their main aura. But if it's in with somebody with a condition, it's usually below that. So I know by feeling their main aura, I can then denote where the chakra is and how effective it is. The other thing was, because I can see as well, I actually see what the chakra looks like. And a lot of them, the chakra isn't spinning properly. It's spinning askew. In other words, instead of it being round, it's actually sort of that shape. And to me, that then tells me that, and my hand tells me then that the chakra is defective, which means that actually they're not receiving the energy system that they should be receiving, knowing that the chakra system is an energy system and we're designed to take energy from around us, and that can be air, earth, fire, water, even sunlight, are all energy systems that we get through our chakra system. And if the chakra isn't working effectively, then you're not taking that particular energy system in well, and then you get a defective organ in your body by that happening. So for pranic, what we do is we get the chakra cleaned first, so we can get it to be spinning properly. We then energize it. In my case, I now use light to energize it because I've been taught how to do that particular thing. But generally you can use white light. That generally you use white light, which is for every chakra in the body. If you use white light, it's going to get the right energy system. But we energize it so it then brings it back to its original size. So it is effectively taking in all the energy system around it. That can be photons, electrons, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it works really. It's amazing how effective just affecting one chakra can be. It can change the body systems.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and often in my experience, there's very often people have a disconnect between the upper chakras and the lower chakras.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't pull through, as you say, because of the blockages. It doesn't pull through, and those are the people then they're starting to have obviously issues with creating money, sexual issues and all sorts of stuff. Not really being grounded like that.
No, I used to be, I was taught by somebody years ago how to use crystals and do spiritual healing on chakras using crystals. This is going back 25, 30 years. And we were told by the guide that came through the guy, so it wasn't him, it was the guide that came through, that the heart and up, chakra-wise, was treated by spirit. Spirit could do that. But from the heart down, that is our responsibility because we're in the earth plane. But with pranic
Like
healing,
that. It's an interesting point of view. I like
I
that.
know, it blew me away, but it actually explains that the heart is where everything joins together. So you've got the earth plane, which is the lower chakras, and then you've got the spiritual plane that comes into your heart chakra. And I've found that if you've got a problem with either or, so some people can be way up here in the higher chakras, but others can be really earth chakras. But if you don't have the balance, then you're very difficult to create. Very difficult. You need the two systems. But certainly for pranic, the lower chakras are really very important because they affect the physical organs in the body system.
Yeah, fantastic. Now there's another thing you probably heard about. Okay, we're going into autumn now here,
Yeah.
but because you mentioned electrons and stuff like that, it's the earthing practice to really get your shoes off and start walking barefoot as much as you can.
I've taken that one step further. I've got one of these earthing mats that link to the earth plug, and I'm sitting on it now.
Okay, there we go.
So, but the problem for me is that I get cold legs when that happens. I think it's to do with the electrons flying up my legs at the same time.
All right, yeah.
I haven't worked out the science yet. It's one of those things I've got to learn about, but certainly earthing is so important, being earth to this world.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't get the balance without it. You can't get the balance.
Yeah. And again, if you look at the medieval times, nobody had proper shoes, certainly no synthetic shoes and all that sort of shit. And this is obviously
we're so disconnected with footwear. I used to be a shoe repairer for 25 years prior to.
Oh, yes, did you? Oh.
Yeah, so cobbling was my mainstay in those days. But
lovely.
What I could do is I could tell people how they were and how they were going to walk just by looking at them. I could tell them how to sort out their problems. And I didn't even know, I didn't understand how. I just knew in those days. That was before I got into the spiritual world or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I know that we're so disconnected because of shoes and the way they're made, because of the rubber. So your best shoes, if you're going to wear any shoes, is leather soled.
Yeah.
Natural materials.
Yeah.
Or, as you've already said, Martina, barefoot, best of all.
Yeah.
Get the cold, wet feet in the autumn.
Yeah. Well, look at the Wim Hof method, where they all go into the cold water and stuff like that. So a bit of walking on cold grass or cold, even concrete works. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to walk on grass.
No, it's I learned that I could teach people how to get more connected to the earth energy via realizing that everything has water involved in it. And if you actually connect with the water in that product, whether it be stone, whether it be wood even, and wood has got water in it, you can connect to earth direct. And you just have to use, it takes a little bit more difficult, but you've got to get your bare feet on it. I can't walk around the house with shoes on. I hate it. I love walking barefoot. Winter time is brilliant. I get outside on the frosty grass and I love it. Freeze my feet, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, we're made out of water and minerals mainly, isn't it?
That's it. We're 70% water. So why not connect direct? Forget about cables and wires. Why not just get the water? As we know, Esimoto, or whatever his name was, the Japanese guy, told us that water is a connector, absolute connector.
Absolutely. So there's lots and lots and lots of simple things that we can daily apply where we don't necessarily need a practitioner. Of course, it's nice to have, that pleasure and that abundance to go and have some sessions and that self-love and all that. But there's lots of stuff we can do,
Nature.
Nature, obviously. And
if you're stuck in a block of flats, get your feet on the concrete, barefoot. It'll connect you straight down. Or like me, you've got an earthing sheet if you can afford that sort of thing. But they're really easy to make. You can do them yourself, very easy.
Yeah, fabulous. Fabulous. Well, we've been going 90 minutes. Do we have any anything else that we want to relate to the root chakra? Any questions, any contributions before we're gonna finish off for today?
I wasn't going to come and speak, but I came on and spoke, didn't I? I came to learn from you guys, so it's because I've not done a thing like this before. So I thank you for inviting me. Not it just is the chakras. You need to be here. We need to be here to get the balance, and it is so important that we get the reds. I mean, I've got Pachamama. This is from Peru, and the colors are so red. But he was off of Lake Titicaca, and you know what? I might have been 3,500 feet up when on the lake, but I felt so earthed. I really did. Couldn't breathe, but I was so earthed. Because I suffered from the altitude sickness, so I found it really difficult. But I felt so earthed, and their way of life, we have lost the connection to the earth. And that is what we've got to get back to, is the connection to earth. Living here.
And I think that's a really nice note to finish up on. And this is what this whole thing was really about, to connect, to, you know, acknowledge the grounding, and just really start enjoying that DNA vehicle that we have chosen to walk us and through this lifetime, and to start playing with it more.
It's a fantastic piece of kit, the human body. Absolutely amazing. What it can do, what it can create, how we can manipulate the world around us. We're just stunning, aren't we, us humans? Absolutely stunning.
Absolutely. And on that note, I want to thank you for coming on, for your contributions. I hope you enjoyed it, and we're going to carry on with more of that conversation as usual. Thank you for joining our Hub of Interconnectivity, and the recording is going to go up onto the website, and we see you guys next week, Wednesday.
Thank you, Martina. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Bye. Bye-bye.